February 5, 2022, and I'm going to hit a whole bunch of issues here, kind of a weekend wrap-up. I guess the first thing that's worth addressing directly are the new jobs numbers that came out of over 467,000 jobs created in January, and there were upward revisions in December and November as well, and that has been ballyhooed by the administration as a big success. I would point out, though, that essentially this is kind of a suspicious deal in a way, because you kind of wonder how could they have been so wrong for 2 months in a row and all of a sudden found the jobs. Maybe they started looking for them. I don't know. I guess it's possible if they held them back and then tried to drop them as a big, gee whiz to try to get their poll numbers up. Obviously, the appointment decision, getting Breyer to retire and appoint a African American lady as a new Supreme Court justice is another thing they're trying to do to change the subject, because they're having some trouble with their radical base because they failed to get a lot of their policies through that they wanted to get through, and that's led to some consternation on their side. So on the other hand, it's perhaps actually accurate, but one reason to think about it is that essentially what we'd had for quite a while was a situation where some of the lowest wage workers that worked in restaurants and fast foods and bars and a lot of things, the lower wage workers there were got laid off disproportionately because of the shutdowns and because of the enhanced unemployment benefits, which were targeting a wider range of workers that had the $15 an hour plus up to the normal unemployment benefits. Left a lot of these people making at least twice what they were making before, and so I'm sure that they probably accumulated a lot of money not a lot of money, but more money by their standards, a lot more money than they were used to getting during the period of unemployment. And so when the benefits ended nationwide in the beginning of this last September, and earlier in a few states that stopped them earlier. Effectively, what happened is that these people were left with a pile of cash by their standards, and I don't know whether. And they also had all the issues of people, not being able to be evicted over rent and so forth. But eventually, obviously, what happened is all those benefits went away, and eventually they needed cash and they needed money, and so there were a lot of jobs for months there that were not being filled, and you can see a lot of, businesses are having trouble staying open and so forth. So what happens is, I guess, eventually come Christmas time, they all started saying, we need some money, and went back to work. And so that's why you're probably starting to see a significant upsurge in employment. Not because the economy is particularly great, but the economy was being held back, basically people being worked overtime and stuff just to keep things going because of the lack of help. And now things are getting back to normal, so the job creation goes up. But it wasn't like new job openings were created. It was just people started taking the openings. Okay, so that basically is the situation. By the way, if you like these videos, please subscribe. Give me a like to help out with the algorithm, because I think that's the way the system works to bring this up for other people. And you can click the bell also for notifications and make comments or whatever if you're subscribed. So anyhow. So that's one thing that's kind of a notable thing. The other issue I just noticed this morning is that Joe Rogan, apparently, although he's not been banned from Spotify, has actually had 100 of his episodes been deleted. So they are apparently going through everything he said on there and retroactively censoring him. I have a funny feeling maybe it's some of the best shows that are probably being deleted, just to guess. Because, some of the things are just, an interview with some person that might be of, I don't know, maybe a lot of interest to some people out there, maybe not to me. But there are some shows he's had with certain people that are very interesting. And although I've never really watched him on Spotify since he went over there, I did used to watch some of them on YouTube when he was on YouTube. And they still post short snippets, kind of teasers on YouTube. So I certainly see some of those from time to time. But it is interesting, though, that, he may have made a little deal with the devil here now, because he may be de facto censored, because if he says anything they don't like, all these minions come out of the woodwork, and obviously the platform is reacting to it. I think overall you could say it's a bit of an overreaction, excuse me, given the people that are being pulled off are like, well, who really cares anyhow? I mean, they're not, I mean, given their main target audience was a much more youthful audience than even I am by far, I'm pretty sure that, you know, if Neil Young isn't there, that's not exactly going to ruin people's day. If Taylor Swift isn't there or somebody like that, that might have a whole different impact. And so, and none of those people have really pulled off yet. So maybe they're not as politically motivated. I don't know. I don't know quite what the situation is. And there's also a question of labels versus the artists and what deals they have. In fact, the real issue may be what deal Joe Rogan has with Spotify. I suppose both sides are maybe looking at that contract a little more carefully now. Well, at any rate, I once made the comment he may eventually end up on, on Rumble or having to start his own system. But he'd lose a lot of money if he does that. So for the moment, he may be a captive audience. So anyhow, I guess we'll have to see how that all plays out. And another thing I want to hit is this rumor that's come out that's something to the effect that Biden and the ATF have got something like 1 billion gun purchase records. There's some kind of a backdoor registration program. And I don't know quite what that is yet. I think that bears some notice, and I haven't been able to figure out exactly what they're talking about. I mean, for one thing, suppose that the number of guns in the country is somewhere on the order of, I don't know, 400 million. And so we don't know. Of course, there are guns that are resold, brought back to the store and then sold and trade-ins for other guns and so forth. They could be referring to the background checks, which are, the InstaCheck system that was put in place to replace the Brady 5-day waiting period back in the 90s, and essentially, but the data in that basically would consist of the purchaser. I guess the date would obviously be known. The store would probably be known, I guess, and the name and address and probably the place of birth would be in the records. A social security number isn't required on the form, and I don't know. Some people optionally put it down, and others don't. So I guess if there's a conflict between somebody with your name and address and a criminal, putting that down would be a quick way to differentiate you from them. And so I don't know that would give them more tracking information if they have that. But supposedly those records weren't supposed to be kept beyond the background check period, and they were supposed to be periodically deleted. And we're now learning that really they weren't. That possibly is what they're talking about. Otherwise, I don't know. Are they collecting maybe credit card information, and maybe there would be codes on those purchases that would be relevant? That's another possibility. I don't know, but that's something that bears looking into, and we'll if I find anything more, I'll try to put that in a subsequent video and see what comes up. So anyhow, that's kind of the way things are for the moment. One of the senators from a Democrat senator from New Mexico has had a stroke and is in recovery, and he's out of the Senate for a period of time until he recovers. So that will probably cut down any reconciliation bills or really radical appointments actually getting confirmed, at least for a month. And then we'll see what happens after that. We wish him well and hope he recovers, because, well, that's just a humane thing to do. And besides, there's no gain in it for us, since the governor there is a Democrat too. So, and also, what I really live in fear is that something like that would happen to one of our people. I mean, this is still, these 2 years are going to be years of living very dangerously until we get to the end of it, and hopefully nothing really bad happens in that period. Manchin and Sinema did prevent him from ending the filibuster, but I'm not sure. Although I know there's a lot of pressure been applied to Sinema. On the other hand, Manchin, I think, is riding high right now and back in West Virginia, so I don't think he's too maneuverable at this point. But at any rate, these kind of little human issues are going to be very close to what happens as the year goes ahead, and we should keep all of our people in our prayers, and therefore I don't wish any bad on the other side either, really, because who knows which luck doesn't seem to always be working our way anyhow. But at any rate, I'll wrap this up, and like I say, my social media accounts listings are below. My address is on them, and by the way, I am also posting these videos on Rumble as part of my you know kind of a backup plan, because you never know when these sites will turn against you. For the moment, I think I'm too low key and too small to be really a target, but you never know. And at least I'll have an archive of what I've done on Rumble also. And the address is the same, Corrality 452. So, at any rate, I'll wrap this up for now. Until next time.